Raquel stared at the wedding invitation sitting on her kitchen counter. For 3 days, she had been afraid to open it, not because she didn't know what was inside. She had helped pick the design herself, but because something in her gut told her that the beautiful piece of paper would break her heart. It was an invitation to her daughter Emma's wedding, the same daughter Raquel had raised alone after her husband walked out when Emma was just 2. Raquel had worked 3 jobs just to make sure Emma had everything she needed. She made sure Emma could take dance lessons and wear clothes that didn't come from thrift stores. But now, Emma was about to marry Dexter, and Raquel was unsure if she even had a place at the wedding. The phone rang, interrupting Raquel's gaze at the sealed envelope. Emma's name flashed on the screen, and Raquel answered with a tight smile. "Mom." Emma's voice was distant, almost unrecognizable. Raquel's heart sank as Emma told her that the wedding plans had changed. Dexter's mother, Virginia ButOne, had taken over the planning. The venue was now smaller, and Emma couldn't invite Raquel. Virginia, it seemed, didn't want Raquel at the wedding. Emma tried to justify it by explaining that the wedding was a chance to improve her life, but Raquel could feel the sting of her daughter's words. "I just can't have you there, Mom. It would make things awkward," Emma said. Raquel tried to keep her voice steady. "You're choosing status over your mother," she said. "That's not fair." The conversation ended abruptly. Raquel was left staring at the phone, a mix of disbelief and heartbreak clouding her thoughts. Her best friend, Kinley, came over shortly after, and Raquel poured out everything that had happened. Kinley couldn't believe Emma would treat Raquel this way, especially after all she had sacrificed for her. Raquel was torn. She wanted to fight for her place in her daughter's life, but also knew that fighting for her dignity was more important. "I'm going to do absolutely nothing," Raquel said, when Kinley suggested crashing the wedding to show Virginia and Dexter that she was more than just the help. Raquel decided to let Emma make her own mistakes, even if it meant breaking her heart. Later that night, as Raquel sat on her balcony watching the city lights flicker, she received a text from Emma. "I'm sorry it has to be this way. I hope someday you'll understand." But Raquel didn't reply. Instead, she added extra cleaning jobs to her calendar for the day of the wedding, determined to stay busy and hold her head high. If Emma didn't want her at the wedding, Raquel would work that day, just as she had always worked hard to give Emma the life she thought she deserved. But even as she went to bed that night, Raquel couldn't help but wonder if this was truly the end of their story. 2 weeks before the wedding, Raquel was cleaning Alyssa Newton's penthouse when she overheard a conversation between Virginia ButOne and her husband, Grant. Virginia's voice was sharp, laced with anxiety. "The wedding has to go perfectly, Grant. It's our last chance to secure the Mitchell investment if they see their daughter marrying into our family." Raquel froze, her hand still gripping the Windex bottle. She knew she shouldn't eavesdrop, but her curiosity got the better of her. Virginia and Grant were talking about their financial troubles, the offshore accounts, and how the wedding could secure their future. Raquel's heart raced as she realized Emma's wedding was never really about love. It was all about securing connections, status, and wealth. Raquel stood just outside the study, dusting the hallway table, pretending to be absorbed in her task. But the conversation inside the room held her attention completely. Virginia ButOne's voice was sharp, laced with urgency. "It's not that simple anymore," Grant ButOne said. "The feds are sniffing around. One wrong move, and everything collapses: the company, our reputation." Virginia's voice rose with frustration, which is exactly why this wedding needs to happen. "Emma's perfect for this. She's so desperate to belong, she'll do anything we say. Once she's married to Dexter, her family connections will save us." Raquel's heart tightened. She gripped the duster tightly, her fingers white with tension. She had to stop herself from storming in and confronting them. "What about the mother?" Grant asked. Virginia scoffed, dismissing the concern. "Taken care of. I convinced Emma to cut her out. We can't have someone like that at the wedding, especially with the Mitchells there. She'd probably try to clean the tables during dinner." Raquel staggered back, her breath catching in her throat. She bumped into a side table, and a vase wobbled dangerously. "What was that?" Virginia's voice snapped through the door. Raquel steadied the vase with trembling hands, her mind racing. She quickly moved into the living room and sprayed glass cleaner, her hands shaking uncontrollably. Virginia appeared in the doorway, eyeing Raquel carefully. "I hope you're being careful with those antiques," she said with a critical tone. Raquel forced a smile. "Of course, Mrs. Bowen. I've been cleaning this apartment for 5 years now." Virginia gave her a dismissive glance. "Just make sure you dust under everything this time. Last week, I found dust beneath the crystal bowl." "Yes, Mom," Raquel muttered under her breath, the words tasting like acid. She sank onto Alyssa's pristine white couch, her phone heavy in her pocket. One call to Emma, and everything could come crashing down. But would Emma believe her? Or would Virginia twist the story, making Raquel appear as nothing more than a bitter, jealous mother? Raquel hesitated, but the buzz of her phone snapped her out of her thoughts. It was a message from Kinley. "Lunch. I've got drama to share." 20 minutes later, Raquel slid into the booth at their usual diner, her mind still reeling from what she had overheard. "You look like you've seen a ghost," Kinley said, eyeing her carefully. "More like I've seen the truth," Raquel replied, her voice barely above a whisper as she told Kinley everything she had overheard about Virginia's manipulations and the plans to use Emma as a pawn in their financial scheme. Kinley's eyes widened in disbelief. "Holy, Raquel, you have to tell Emma." "And say what?" Raquel snapped. "Hey, honey, I was eavesdropping on your future in-laws while cleaning their friend's apartment, and guess what? They're criminals." Kinley stirred her coffee thoughtfully, clearly wrestling with the gravity of the situation. "But she's walking into a trap. Those people are using her." Raquel pushed her sandwich away, feeling the weight of Kinley's words. "She chose them over me, remember? I don't even know who she is anymore. She wanted that fancy life so badly that she was willing to throw away her own mother." "Are you just going to let her marry into all this?"
Kinley pressed.
Raquel met her friend's eyes with a hardened resolve. "Emma's an adult. She wanted this life, and now she's got it. If she's willing to throw me away, maybe she needs to learn the hard way what it costs." Kinley's face softened. "That's cold, Raquel." "No," Raquel replied firmly. "That's karma. I raised her to know right from wrong. If she chooses wrong, that's on her." But later that night, after Kinley left, doubt crept in. Raquel pulled out her phone and opened Emma's contact. Her thumb hovered over the call button, but she stopped herself when a new notification popped up. Emma had posted a picture from her bridal shower, surrounded by wealthy women with Virginia standing behind her, hands possessively on her shoulders. The caption read, "So blessed to be joining this amazing family." Raquel closed her phone, feeling the sting of betrayal deep in her chest. Emma had made her choice. She had picked her new family, one that didn't include Raquel. "It's not my secret to tell," Raquel whispered to herself as she got ready for bed. "Whatever the Bowens are involved in will come out eventually. Karma always makes sure of that." But as she drifted off to sleep, she couldn't shake the nagging feeling that karma might need a little push from a cleaning lady who knew how to keep her ears open and her mouth shut for now. The day before Emma's wedding, Raquel was elbow-deep in Mrs. Henderson's window tracks when Kinley called. "Please tell me you're not working tomorrow," Kinley said, without even saying hello. Raquel wedged the phone between her ear and shoulder as she continued to scrub. "I picked up 3 extra houses, the Newtons, the Patels, and—" No, Kinley interrupted. "You're coming over. We're drinking wine and watching terrible movies until we pass out." "Kinley, this is not a request. I need to work. If I stop, I'll think, and if I think, I'll—" "Exactly why you're coming over at 6. I already bought your favorite red," Kinley said firmly, hanging up before Raquel could protest. That evening, 2 glasses of wine in, Raquel finally let everything spill. "You know what kills me?" she said, pacing the living room. "Virginia basically admitted they're using Emma. She's just a pawn in their financial scheme, and she's too starry-eyed to see it. And the way Emma just erased me, like 25 years of sacrifice mean nothing just because I clean houses for a living." Raquel's voice broke, but she pushed forward. "Virginia said I'd probably try to clean the tables during the wedding reception, like I'm some servant who doesn't know how to act in public. I raised my daughter with more class than that entire fake family combined. Kinley put down her wine glass. Raquel, your phone's buzzing. Raquel didn't care. Emma had already made her choice. Raquel's heart raced as Kinley shouted, Raquel, your phone. She pointed urgently at the device on the coffee table. Raquel's blood ran cold as she saw Emma's name flash across the screen. Emma? Raquel asked desperately, lunging for the phone. Emma, are you there? But the call ended before she could say another word. Oh God, Raquel whispered, sinking into the couch. The panic rising in her chest was overwhelming. Oh God, oh God, oh God. Kinley grabbed her shoulders, trying to steady her. Breathe. Maybe she didn't hear you. Raquel's phone buzzed in her hand. It was a text from Emma. What federal investigation? What offshore accounts? Then another message. Mom, what do you know about Dexter's family? And a final one. Answer me. Raquel showed the text to Kinley, her voice barely a whisper. What do I do? Kinley's face was grim, but her response was clear. Tell her the truth. All of it. I can't. Raquel shook her head, panic rising. She won't believe me. She'll think I'm trying to ruin her wedding. Kinley was insistent. Let her figure out herself. You've given her the breadcrumbs. Let her follow them. Raquel's phone buzzed again, Emma's name lighting up the screen. Over and over again, the calls came, each one more desperate than the last. I can't, Raquel muttered, silencing her phone. I can't talk to her right now. Kinley tried again. Raquel, no. You can't just leave it like this. But Raquel was already heading for the door. Thank you for the wine, Kinley. I'll call you tomorrow. She stepped out, her phone still lighting up with calls and messages from Emma, the urgent tone shifting from anger to desperation, then to pleading. The final message made Raquel's heart stop. Mom, I'm scared. What if you're right? Raquel hesitated for a long moment, staring at her phone. Her thumb hovered over the screen as she debated what to say. Finally, she typed, Ask Dexter about the Mitchell investment. Ask him why Virginia really wanted you in the family. She paused, then added, Then we need to talk. With a deep breath, she turned off her phone and tried to sleep, knowing she had just lit a fuse. Whatever happened next would either save her daughter or destroy the last remnants of their relationship. At around 3 a.m., unable to sleep, Raquel turned her phone back on. There were no new messages from Emma, but there was a missed call from an unknown number. The voicemail made her stomach drop. It was Virginia's voice, cold, venomous. Listen to me, you vindictive little cleaning woman. Virginia spat. If you think you can ruin this wedding with your pathetic lies, think again. I don't know what you think you heard, but if you breathe a word of this to anyone else, I'll make sure you never work in this city again. Stay in your lane and remember your place. Raquel played the message 3 times, each time feeling less afraid, but more certain. Virginia's threat had only confirmed everything. The question now was whether Emma would see it too. As dawn broke, Raquel's phone buzzed with a text from Emma. The rehearsal dinner is in 6 hours. I need to talk to Dexter first, then we need to talk. Please be available. Raquel replied with a simple okay and began getting ready for work. Whatever happened next, she had houses to clean. It was what she always did and what she would keep doing no matter how this played out. But for the first time since this nightmare began, she felt a glimmer of hope. Maybe karma didn't need a push after all. Maybe it just needed an accidental phone call. Raquel was finishing up at the Patel's house when her phone exploded with notifications. Dozens of messages from Kinley, all with the same urgent tone. Turn on the news. Now. Raquel's heart skipped a beat as she pulled up a live news stream on her phone. The headline made her stomach drop. Breaking: Chaos at high-profile wedding rehearsal dinner. Fraud allegations surface. The camera showed the exclusive restaurant where Emma's rehearsal dinner was supposed to be taking place. Police cars lined the street, their lights flashing against the building's glass facade. Kinley called again. Are you watching? Raquel could barely hear her over the rush of blood in her ears. What happened? It's all over social media, Kinley said, her voice full of disbelief. Emma confronted Dexter and his parents during the dinner, in front of everyone, including the Mitchells. Raquel sat down on the Patel's pristine couch, not caring about the uniform she was wearing. "Tell me everything." Someone posted a video. Emma stood up during the main course and just lost it. She demanded Dexter tell her about the offshore accounts. When he tried to brush it off, she turned to Grant and Virginia. And she quoted Virginia word for word, "What you overheard about using Emma's connections to save their company, the federal investigation." The whole room went silent. Raquel's hands were shaking as she absorbed the information. "What happened next?" "That's not even the best part," Kinley continued. "Apparently, one of the Mitchells is on the Federal Banking Commission. He made a call right there at the table." 30 minutes later, federal agents showed up. Raquel switched to another news channel, watching with disbelief as the camera panned over the chaos. They were interviewing guests leaving the restaurant, and one woman was saying that Virginia had tried to play it off as wedding jitters, but Emma had receipts, actual documents. She must have spent all day digging. Raquel's phone buzzed again. It was Emma. "I have to go," she said, cutting off Kinley. "Emma's calling." "Mom." Emma's voice came shakily through the phone. "Can you come get me?" "Where are you?" "Outside the restaurant. The police are interviewing everyone, but they said I could leave since I'm the one who—" Her voice broke. "I'm on my way," Raquel said, already heading for the door. 20 minutes later, Raquel pulled up outside the restaurant to find Emma sitting on a bench. She was still in her rehearsal dinner dress, her makeup streaked with tears, but her back was straight, just like Raquel had taught her. Without a word, Emma climbed into the car, and they drove in silence. Finally, Emma spoke. "I found everything," she said quietly. "Once I knew what to look for, it wasn't even hidden that well. Dexter's laptop had emails about the Mitchell investment, about using my father's family connections. They even had a contingency plan in case the wedding fell through. They were going to try to get me to invest my trust fund before announcing bankruptcy." Raquel felt her heart sink. But Emma wasn't done. "Virginia was right about one thing," she continued bitterly. "I was desperate to belong. So desperate I couldn't see what was right in front of me. I couldn't see what I was throwing away." As we drove through the quiet streets, I couldn't help but look at Emma. Really look at her. Beneath the designer dress and the expensive highlights, I saw my little girl again. The girl who used to play with dolls in the living room and fall asleep on my lap while watching movies. The girl I never thought would find herself in the midst of such a mess. "When I heard your voice on that accidental call," Emma said softly, her voice breaking through the silence. "Everything you were saying about them, it was like waking up from a dream, a nightmare really. And then, when I confronted Dexter, what did he say?" Raquel turned her gaze to the road, trying to steady her own breathing. "What did he say?" Emma's eyes hardened. "He tried to deny it at first. Then he tried to convince me it wasn't a big deal. That all wealthy families have creative accounting. That's when I knew. He's just like them. And I chose him over you." The words hit harder than Emma probably realized. Raquel turned the steering wheel as the light changed, and they continued driving in silence. She didn't know what to say. The hurt ran deeper than she ever expected. When they finally reached the apartment, Emma stepped out of the car, her feet dragging as if the weight of the world was on her shoulders. Raquel followed her inside, and they entered the familiar space, the one Emma had grown up in. The worn couch where they'd spent countless nights watching movies. The small kitchen table where Raquel had helped Emma with homework over the years. The photos on the walls, capturing the milestones that Raquel had worked so hard to provide for her daughter. Emma stood still, looking around, taking in the room that was both a sanctuary and a reminder of the past. "I don't deserve to be here," she whispered. Raquel stepped closer and looked her in the eyes. "No," she said firmly, "you don't. But you're here anyway. Because that's what family does. Real family. We show up, even when it's hard, even when it hurts." Emma flinched, the sharpness of Raquel's words cutting through the air. Raquel softened her voice, but stood her ground. "You're here because I still love you. And family doesn't turn their back on you. Not now." Emma crumpled onto the couch, sobbing uncontrollably. Raquel sat beside her, not touching, but being present. The weight of everything Emma had just gone through was overwhelming, but Raquel knew this was a moment of reckoning. The wedding's off, Emma gasped between sobs. The ButOnes are probably going to jail. Everyone's going to be talking about this for months. I ruined everything. Raquel took a deep breath, holding back her own emotions as she spoke firmly. No, you didn't ruin anything. You exposed the truth. There's a difference. Emma looked at her. Mascara streaked across her cheeks, her eyes filled with doubt. How can you even stand to look at me after everything I've done to you? Raquel handed her a tissue, her voice calm but resolute. Because I'm your mother. And because you finally did what I always taught you to do. You stood up for what's right, even when it was hard. I'm so sorry, Mom, Emma whispered, her voice breaking again. I know I hurt you, but we're not okay yet. We still have a lot to talk about. Raquel nodded. I know. But can I just sit here with you for a while first? Emma wiped her eyes and nodded, curling up on the couch. Can we just sit here and pretend everything's okay? Raquel smiled softly. Of course. We have all night. And this time, for the first time in a long while, Raquel promised herself she would keep her phone on silent. The following week felt like watching a perfect life unravel thread by thread. Emma was staying in Raquel's spare room, the same room where she'd spent her childhood. It was cluttered now with designer suitcases Emma had hastily packed from the ButOne mansion, her whole world flipped upside down. Your phone's buzzing again, Raquel said, setting down a cup of coffee in front of Emma. Emma glanced at it, then turned it face down, not wanting to deal with whatever it was. Another reporter, she muttered. They won't stop calling. On the kitchen TV, the morning news played quietly, but the images made Emma stiffen. Grant and Virginia's arrest photos flashed across the screen, followed by footage of Dexter being escorted from his office building. Turn it off, Emma whispered, her voice hoarse. Please. Raquel clicked off the TV but couldn't ignore the headline that lingered in her mind. ButOne family fraud scheme extends to multiple companies, hundreds of millions missing. Miranda called again, Emma said, stirring her coffee absently. My maid of honor. She wants her Cartier bracelet back. The one she gave me as a wedding gift. Said she can't be associated with someone like me. Someone like you. A fraud. A scandal. The girl whose almost in-laws are going to federal prison. She laughed bitterly. Funny how quickly people forget. Raquel stood and walked toward the door as the doorbell rang, already knowing who it was. It's just Kinley, she said, checking her phone. She's bringing breakfast. Kinley burst through the door, carrying bags of pastries with her usual energy. You would not believe what I just heard. The snobby boutique where you got your wedding dress? They're refusing to refund the deposit because, and I quote, the cancellation was due to criminal activity. Add it to the list. Emma muttered under her breath. Along with the venue, the caterer, the florist. Kinley didn't miss a beat. Those people are all idiots. You did the right thing. Did I? Emma's voice cracked. Because from where I'm sitting, I destroyed everything. My reputation, my career prospects, my social life. Raquel stepped forward. Emma, you have a business degree. You graduated top of your class. You can start over. Emma scoffed bitterly. Who's going to hire me now? My name is toxic in this city. Then we'll find something else, Raquel said firmly. Something that doesn't depend on the approval of people who'd rather hide fraud than face the truth. Emma's phone buzzed again, and this time, she checked it. Her face fell. What is it? Raquel asked. Instagram, Emma replied, thrusting the phone at Raquel. Someone posted photos of me from last year's charity gala. I'm wearing borrowed jewelry from Virginia, standing with the ButOnes. The comments. Raquel took the phone, reading through the comments. They were brutal. Gold digger. Fraud. Family wannabe. No better than the criminals she exposed. Kinley snatched the phone out of Raquel's hand. That's it. We're deleting your social media. All of it. Right now. But. No buts, Kinley interrupted. You need a clean break. Raquel nodded. Kinley's right. It's time. The three of them spent the next hour deleting Emma's social media accounts, each one filled with photos of the perfect life she thought she had, but now had crumbled. With each deletion, Emma's shoulders seemed to relax slightly. It was as though she was shedding the last remnants of her old life. "I keep thinking about the wedding gifts," Emma said suddenly, her voice distant. "All those expensive things from people who wanted to curry favor with the ButOnes. Should I return them?" Raquel thought for a moment. "They've all been seized as evidence anyway." Kinley grinned. "The feds took everything from the mansion, remember?" Emma nodded, but then a strange, bitter laugh escaped her. "I just remembered something Virginia said to me once," she said. "Old money whispers, new money shouts, and no money screams." She was so proud of how quietly wealthy they were. Turns out they were just trying to hide their crimes. As if on cue, the doorbell rang again. This time, a delivery man stood at the door, holding a thick envelope. Emma ripped open the envelope and read through the legal documents. Her face turned pale. "The Mitchells are suing me," she whispered. "They say I must have known about the fraud, that I was part of it." Raquel's heart sank. "That's ridiculous." Kinley was already on the offensive. "You're the whistleblower. They're suing you? After everything you've done?" Emma dropped the papers onto the table, defeated. "I can't afford a lawyer. All my money was tied up in the wedding and the house down payment." Raquel picked up the papers and looked at her daughter. "Then we'll figure it out together." Emma stared at her, tears welling up. "Why are you doing this? After how I treated you?" "Because that's what real family does," Kinley answered for Raquel. "They show up when everyone else runs away." Raquel nodded. "Besides, you did the brave thing. The right thing. Now it's my turn to be brave and help you through this." Emma reached for Raquel's hand across the table. "I don't deserve you." Raquel squeezed her hand. "No. You don't. But you're learning. And sometimes that's enough. Everything he took from us. I thought if I could just be successful in the way he defined success, then maybe it would fill the hole he left. But now, I see that all I did was lose myself in the process." I sat quietly, letting her words sink in. After a moment, I reached for her hand, feeling a deep sense of understanding between us. "You don't have to prove anything to him, Emma," I said softly. "You've always been enough, just as you are. And you don't need to chase a world that doesn't see you for who you truly are. You've got everything you need right here. You've got me, and now you've got a future that's yours to shape, based on who you are, not who you think you should be." Emma nodded, a tear slipping down her cheek, but this time, it was different. It wasn't sorrow or regret, it was relief. "I'm sorry, Mom," she whispered again, her voice trembling. "I've spent so long trying to prove that I was something I wasn't, and I've hurt you in the process. I've made so many mistakes." "Emma," I said, squeezing her hand, "you're not perfect and neither am I. But what matters is that we're here now, and we're figuring this out together. That's what family does." She smiled through her tears, and for the first time in so long, I saw the daughter I remembered, the one who had strength and kindness, not the one who had been swallowed up by the illusion of wealth and status. As we sat there, sharing dinner in our little kitchen, it felt like a turning point. The past couldn't be erased, and the road ahead would still have its challenges, but there was a new foundation between us, built on honesty, growth, and love. "Let's start fresh," I said, raising my glass of water. "No more pretending. No more living for anyone else's approval. Just us." Emma lifted her glass to mine. "Just us," she echoed, a spark of hope in her eyes. And for the first time in a long while, I felt that hope too. This is such a beautiful and powerful story of growth, reconciliation, and the importance of authenticity. It beautifully showcases the mother-daughter relationship and how they both evolve and learn from their mistakes. The way Emma and her mother, Raquel, rebuild their trust and understanding is deeply emotional, and the symbolism of the broken vase is perfect for reflecting their journey. The contrast between the empty pursuit of wealth and social status that Emma initially chases and the fulfilling, humble path of honest work they both embrace by the end is inspiring. The way Raquel teaches Emma that true success comes from integrity and love, not from materialism or societal approval, is a powerful lesson. The ending, where they both understand that truth screams, is a great conclusion. It shows how important it is to stand by what's real, even when it's hard, and how that can lead to healing and a stronger foundation. Please feel free to comment below if you like this. Remember to like and subscribe for more.